took place while the family was gathered at home on a Sunday afternoon.
Don't touch that dial now. We're just getting started.
Retrieved the rifle and shot his wife as she was cleaning up the kitchen.
You can't trust the tap water.
Adult son came to investigate the commotion. The father shot him too.
You've played plenty of video games, right? Otherwise, you probably would not have clicked on this title. Maybe you clicked on it because you were curious, but who knows? I don't. I'm going to be talking about one of the most terrifying video games that I had ever had the pleasure to consume. And that game is called PT Silent Hills by Hideo Kojima. Now, if you're familiar with Kojima, you know that he makes some pretty amazing games. And PT is by no means a exception. PT in itself is the most, and I believe it's the most terrifying and skin-crawling game to have ever hit the PlayStation Store, to have ever hit eyes since, the old Silent Hill games, like Silent Hill 1 and 2. Those games still do scare me to this day, but they never had the psychological effect that PT had on me. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is because I had a dream about PT last night, and the only reason why I remember it is because I woke up in the middle of it, and I had to document it somehow, so I wrote down what I dreamed about in my phone's notes. The dream started as very normal. I believe that I had just woken up out of bed, and I got up and went to the door so I could go to the kitchen and get some water. Mind you, I didn't exactly know that I was in a dream, so this was probably one of the scariest dreams I'd ever had. As soon as I walked to the door and opened it and walked into what I presume was my living room, I looked up, because we don't have wood floors in my house. I looked up and felt my heart absolutely sink into its chest, into my chest. And I remember, even though it was a dream, feeling every bit of fear and every bit of terror crawl over me, like it was a million insects or a million, spiders just crawling all over my body. I felt it. I felt every hair stand up, every goosebump. I felt it. It was terrifying. And I could hear the radio announcer guy telling, speaking about the murders and stuff, and I remember that's when I woke up, because I was so scared. I woke up and I was sweating, and I was breathing really heavy, and I really thank God that it was a dream, and it wasn't real, because if it was, I wouldn't be here making this video. First of all, I would never survive Silent Hills. And I went and I got water from my kitchen, and I sat down in my bed and I looked at my hands for a little bit, because I had to really process that wasn't real, because it felt extremely real. PT's psychological effects have carried themselves with me ever since I played through the game. And I mean, I still sometimes, when I'm dreaming, it's mainly just dreams, it's never anything real. Whenever I'm dreaming, I hear Lisa laughing, or I've seen her before, peeking at me through random crevices or windows, or even right behind me and breathing down my shoulder. That's what the dream continued, because, it's not very normal for a nightmare to continue, actually. After you wake up the first time, it's usually going to change, but it was the same thing. I was still in PT, and I remember continuing to the radio, and I touched it, and I could feel her breath on my neck, and I could hear her laughing very far in the distance, but I knew she was right behind me. And ever since I did find out that she's always following you, I need to stop saying it sounds so good. She's always following you after you get the flashlight. I think that was the most terrifying thing about the game, because I did not know that until I looked it up, and I remember just feeling fucking scared. I was so scared. But to have a super detailed dream like that, I think that it was maybe a sign that I had to make this video. And maybe it's not, maybe it's just a sign that I need to play PT again. Because I got pretty damn far into the game, but I don't think I ever beat it. And there were so many things that you could do in that game that made it an interactive horror and terror experience, because it was way more than horror. That game is way more than horror. If you've played it, you know what I'm talking about. The hallway is forever going to be etched in my memories and in my dreams, and I will never be able to forget it as long as I live. And every couple weeks or so, maybe once a month, twice a month, I will have a dream about PT, but it's never as realistic as it was last night. It's usually just Lisa, like, standing over my bed, or her laughter. I'm hearing her laughter somewhere, her sobbing, something like that. It's never she's there, and I'm never actually in the hallway. Sometimes I see the hallway from the outside. But truthfully, that game is a staple in true terror, and probably the greatest form of video game, like, horror. It will never get better than that. And I think that is what really provokes my brain, is that we will never actually get PT. And I think that sucks, because PT is extremely good. And if there's any way that I could ever play it again, I will. And I'll live stream it too. Because I still remember how it felt to look up and see Lisa staring at me from, the balcony or whatever. It's not a balcony, but seeing her staring at me is one of the most terrifying things that I felt in that game, because it was like, I remember feeling myself turn completely white, and my blood ran entirely cold, and I was terrified, because it was just something that I wasn't expecting to see, but I guess I should have expected it. Anyway, that is kind of all I have to say for this video. If you enjoyed it and you want me to make more videos about games that I've played, let me know, because I sure as hell will. I'll see you all later. Bye.